guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Charity from BookedonCharity. Thank you for choosing to watch me today. I hope that you will consider clicking the subscribe button down below and follow me on my social medias that I will link in the description box as well. So today I want to do my March wrap up with you guys, and I'm gonna try and do it in the order that I read the books. So I'll tell you what I read in the books, and I'll say a little bit about what the books are about. So in March I read a total of 1,636 pages, and that is spread over 6 books. So it's been a really good reading month for me, and I have some really high ratings for March, so it was really good. Thumbs up for March. So the first book that I read is Black Flamingo, and this is by Dean Atta. And let me just share with you how gorgeous this cover is, and the light is just catching the glimmer, and it's beautiful. So in this book we follow Michael, who is queer, he's gay, and we follow his life as well. He's a teenager, so it's not really spread through his whole life, but during his teenagehood, where he's coming from high school going into college, and he's trying to not fit in but find a place where he fits. So we see him struggling a little bit with trying to find a place where he fits in. He knows that he's queer, but he doesn't really fit with other groups, to say. So we also see him struggling through some relationships as well. What I liked about this book is that there's so much support that he received. Like, his mother was very, very supportive, because they take us through a time where it was one of his birthdays as a much younger child, and he wanted Barbie, and then his mom, I think they bought him an action figure, and he's like, no, that's not what I want. I want Barbie. I want Barbie. And his mom actually bought him a Barbie, and like from a young age his mom understood that, okay, this is how my child is. Let me support him. Let me not judge him, because he didn't have that with his own father. His own father basically is just nowhere to be seen, but at least in the book they show us that he had a male guidance from his uncle, who was there for him throughout, who supported him as well. So yeah, this is a very, very good book. It's written in verse, and there's a lot of topics being discussed in this book. Queerness is being discussed in the book. Being black is discussed in this book. We still see traces of racism in this book. So Dean Atta does a very good job to identify these. So there's a part in the book where they had a Michael, Lenny, and Sienna were having a conversation about dating and who their type is and all that. So they asked Michael, what's your type, Michael? And he immediately says, tall, white, big biceps, and a killer smile, right? And then they asked, and then Lenny said, that's messed up. And Sienna said that she only dates black guys. And then he responded, that's messed up too. And I actually want to read to you guys his explanation to it as why he said that was messed up. And I totally agree, and I wouldn't have thought it in that way, right? Sometimes you think that's preference. A person decides to date a black guy or a white guy or girl, and that's their preference, but that is kind of like a little messed up. You should date people for who they are, not what they look like on the outside. But yeah, this is what Lenny said. You both need to understand the black woman, black man, black trans person is always lost to be thought of as an attractive in this white supremacist society. We are all, black and white alike, shown a beauty standard of light skin and good hair. Maybe big lips, maybe a big bum, but hardly ever someone with the darkest skin. When a black person says they're only into white people, that's internalized racism. When a white person says they're only into black people, it's fetishization, which also a form of racism. If their skin or racialized features matter more to you than the person within, that's racism. I can't be your friend without calling this out. Your ignorance may be innocent, but the racism is real. I want you both to think about how what you said might make me feel. So I think that was really, really good. And that was a very quotable moment for me. And I really, really loved that Dean Atta highlighted it in the story. This is a book that I've borrowed, but I'm definitely getting myself a copy because I want people to read it. I want my daughter to read it growing up, whether she's queer or not. She needs just to understand the basics of humanity, let me call it. But yeah, I really loved it. So in the end, Michael did find his place with the drag society. He felt more at home in there. He felt more like he had a family in there, and he got to meet a lot of different people that also taught him a lot of different things. So yeah, this is definitely a must read. I will recommend to everybody to read this book, whether you're straight, whether you're queer, black, white, female, male, it doesn't matter. I feel like everybody has something and could learn something from this book. By the way, if you haven't already figured this out, I have given this book a well-deserved 5 stars. The next book that I read in March was The Pride of Nunle, and this is by Shanice Ndlovu. This is a collection of short stories. Some were hits and some were misses, but like funny enough, the short story that is titled The Pride of Nunle, I actually didn't really like as much. I feel like I liked the first one way more, The Walking Fish, but the stories are fantasy stories. There's witchcraft in here, there's powers, there's magic, so it was fun to read. The writing style in here is not the easiest, but you can follow through. I liked that as you kept going with the stories actually interlinked with each other, and it was kind of like a continuation. What I also loved about this book was that even though it's short stories, the point of the story was pushed across. It didn't leave you hanging, it didn't leave you questioning. So yeah, I really liked this book and I gave it a 4 stars. The next book that I read was Being Lily by Kanita Loxton. This was a buddy read with Smole and Umpile from Bokamoso. So this book is the second installment from the Bing series. The first one is Being Kari. In this instance, we follow Being Lily. Lily is a doctor and she's about to get married to Owen, who was my favorite character in Being Kari. But then a spanner gets thrown their way because Owen's ex and her 16-year-old daughter comes into town. Basically, this book, by the way, is based in Cape Town. They moved to Cape Town saying that the ex has gotten a job and they're running away from an abusive ex-husband and they just needed a place to like start over. And since she hasn't really started at her job, she needs a place to stay, and Owen must house her and her teenage daughter. And I'm like, first of all, this happened without my fiance letting me, like, bringing me into the fold to say, hey babe, is this all right? Is this okay? Nope, he did none of that. He was just like, oh, they really need a place to stay, so they asked that they could stay with us for like a month until they get settled and she gets her first pay and then she can get a place to stay, then we can help them. I'm like, nah bruh, nah. Your ex in my house with their child, who at some point they basically, one of the reasons that the husband, this ex got separated with the husband, is getting a divorce, is because he thinks that this daughter is not his and it's possibly Owen's daughter. And I'm like, too much drama. Get a paternity test and figure yourself out. If this is your daughter, she's welcome to stay with us, but your ex can just find another place. How can she just move towns with no plan? And she just decided that she's gonna come live with you. She does not know what is going on in your life right now. She has no idea if you have a family or not. Nah, I'm not agreeing to that. That's just Owen, from me loving Owen so much in Binkari, Owen irritated me the most in this book. And I'm like, is this how men are? Like, surely somebody somewhere out there, men somewhere out there, has more sense than Owen to just do this. Like, no, I don't care how nice you are, but sometimes even being nice, you need to know that people out there could come and take advantage of you, and at the same time it's messing up their relationship as well. I mean, this ex is walking around the house in a bikini, lounging on like outside next to their pool. Like, no, that's not happening in my house. You're not gonna make me feel some type of way in my house. No, go find a hotel, something somewhere out there, but not in my house. Not in my house. Anyway, I'm going on. I did enjoy this book. Obviously there was a lot of drama going on in this book. However, the ending felt very, very rushed, and yeah, I felt like it's too easy, man. It's too easy to like finish like that. I get that we wanted a happy ending and all of that, but it was too easy, and hence I gave the book a 4 stars. But it wasn't really a bad read. Once you get into it, you're actually like really immersed into it, because you want to know what's gonna happen, or what are they gonna do. Like, even though at the back of your mind you already know what was gonna happen, you're still trying to see if there was another way or another direction the book could have went. So yeah, I gave this book a 4 stars. The next book that I read was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, and this is by Hank Green. You guys, this book is so entertaining. This book is so entertaining. I loved everything about it. There's a lot of social media references in here, and yeah. Anyway, this story, we follow April, who one day after her shitty job, she discovers this massive metal artwork on the side of the road. And she's like, oh, this is so nice. This is, because I believe she's an art major, graphics designer, something. But anyway, she finds this statue, and she's like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, you know, she's wondering who's done it. It's so massive. This is a really, really great art piece. So she calls on her friend who has a YouTube channel, and she's like, oh, come, let's record this. I think this will be really cool. Let's say something about it. So the friend comes, and this is in the middle of, like, not even in the middle of the night, like early morning, 3 a.m. And the friend arrives, and they're like, oh, this is so cool. They start taking pictures, taking videos, and they name this massive artwork Carl, right? And this artwork actually looks like a huge transformer from Transformers. But yeah, they name it Carl, and then like she acts like she's doing an interview. And so they record this video, and then they upload it on the friend's YouTube channel. What is the friend's name? I think, is his name Andy? I think his name is Andy. But yeah, so the next day when they wake up, their phones are blasting, going crazy, and they realize that the video has gone viral, number 1. Number 2, a lot of this, like, this transformer also popped up in other cities all over the world. So when they thought that, oh, somebody did this really cool thing was it in New York? I think theirs was in New York. So in the morning they wake up and they realize that there's actually so many cars all over the world, all looking the same, all wearing their summarized suits, and people have been taking pictures of them all over the place. And now, since she basically named it, everybody was saying, oh, we have a call in Beijing, we have a call in Paris, this is New York call. Yeah. And then they start to try and figure out, how did these beings get here, because nobody now has said, oh, this is my artwork, and how is it possible for it to appear in so many cities on the same night? So they start investigating, try get footage, like well, the government is trying to get some footage to see what happened, but it's like 1 minute they were not there, the next they were there, and it's like all the cameras in the areas kind of like malfunctioned when they arrived. The only thing that was there as evidence was basically a song playing in the background. And then when the cameras came back online, the beings were there. So then they start thinking, okay, maybe the song is a clue. So they start looking into the song, and then they get to Wikipedia, and then, okay, fine, maybe even spoiling the book right now. But the point is, the song is kind of like the first clue, and they kind of get to crack that clue. They crack the clue, they solve the clue, and then after that, they kind of like get the next thing to solve, and that becomes very, very interesting. And I don't want to say what it is because I feel like it's gonna ruin the experience for whoever's gonna read it, but this book is really, really good. It's amazing. I loved it. I loved everything about it. And even with the social media references in the book, sometimes you read the book and you feel like you're in it, and you're like, oh, you almost want to go take your phone and go check if the stuff that you're saying has actually been posted. Like, yeah. But anyway, I obviously gave this book a 5 stars. I really need to get the next book. I forgot what the name of the next book is, but there is a sequel to this book, and I really, really want to get it and read it because it was amazing. The next book that I read was Punching the Air by Ibi Zoboi and Yusuf Salam. So Yusuf Salam is one of the exonerated 5 who, I'm not sure when exactly, they got arrested. Him and 4 other boys got arrested for a crime that they didn't commit, and I think it's only recently that they got exonerated for it because they did actually spend time in jail for that crime. And so in the book we follow our main character who also gets wrongfully arrested. So this book deals a lot with social injustice, and we see how a person of color put up against the system which does not think any better of him, think that he's bound to be in here anyway, you know. It's like it's now or later type of thing. And so he basically got into a situation where one day he was hanging out with his friends, and then a fight broke out, and he punched this white boy from the neighboring neighborhood, and they accused him from putting him in a coma. And he kept saying, you know what, I punched him, but I punched him first because, you know, he said some bad things about me. I punched him first, but I didn't land the last punch. So it's like other people were involved in this fight, but they blamed him for it. They went, I think, to a skating park, so they even said that he used his skateboard as a weapon to beat the guy. But it's like, dude, there's no evidence to support that. My skateboard doesn't have any blood on it, no scratches on it, nothing that could link him to this crime. But because, you know, being in that situation, first of all, the system does not really help you, and I don't think his lawyer was also very helpful to him, and he ended up going to jail. And we see his experience in jail, how he struggles in jail. It's a very, very touching story, and it's not something to say that you enjoyed, but it's a good read to get kind of like into the stories of what these kids go through, what black kids go through who end up going to jail. And I remember there's a portion where they're doing an exercise and they ask them to write all the things that they've done badly or things that they think they've done and land them in jail. So they write all of this, and then they ask the person asks them to put it in a bowl. And then after that, mix everything up and say, pick one. If you pick yours, put it back and pick something else. And then when they pick it, and then you read somebody else's mishappenings, I guess, and you realize how when they're reading it, it's like, I could have been that person. I could have been in that situation, you know. You decide to go to the shop, and a bunch of your friends maybe that you know decide to rob the shop, and now you're there with them, but that was not your intention. And when police comes and they get caught, it's like you were part of it, you know. He got into the situation where he ended up punching this guy because he decided to go to the park instead of going somewhere else with his friend. It's like how these small decisions can really, really affect your life and bring you to where you are. So it's almost like a game of luck. Yeah. But anyway, I gave the book a 5 stars. I don't want to get too much into it, too emotional. And yeah, the last book that I read was The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor. This was the first book that I've ever read from this author. This book was gifted to me by Penguin Random House South Africa, and I saw that she has 3 other books that she wrote. I don't know if there's more than this, but oh, you guys, this book is a mystery thriller. And when I tell you, I was on the edge the whole time, because the mystery element of this is like really, it's really there. Okay, you would read this book and you try to investigate and basically catch the killer or the bad guy, and you keep getting it wrong, and then you keep like changing your mind because she gives you so many options as to who the bad person is that sometimes you overlook some of the things as well, and she just goes and blows your mind in the end. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. So this book follows Reverend Jack Brooks, who moves to Chapel Croft, which is a small town, with her daughter to kind of like take over the church in that place, since the past vicar died, and nobody told her how he died until she got there, and she realized that he apparently committed suicide. It looks like suicide, but yeah, it probably was not. Okay, so she gets to the town, and then from the get-go is already receiving weird things. Like somebody sent her a package with an exorcism kit that also included a knife, and she was like, you know, exorcism kit doesn't normally include knives in it. And yeah, and then there's people just lurking around in the church, and they start seeing ghosts and they seeing weird things. And yeah, but this book, I don't want to say, guys, I can't say anything about this book, because if I do, I'm literally going to spoil it. I don't know how to explain this book without saying exactly what is happening. I can't let anything out, but get this book. This book is amazing. It was really good. After reading this book, I really wanted to go and pick up more thriller mystery books, because it was really good. And I gave it 5 stars, obviously. So yeah, get yourself a copy. And that was it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that you enjoy it. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel down below, and follow the links to my Goodreads and Instagram as well. Bye till next time. Anywhere you go,